Damn, I forgot to change it to entertainment or something. Ah, okay. Um, why shouldn't I? Okay, there it is. Sort of Instagram was down. It's been down since yeah, no, it's not made for kids. All right. Okay, I'm gonna try and do this. Thinking I have to do things like yeah, that is. Okay. Hopefully I can. Hopefully I can. If I can't, then okay. At least I'll do another take on it. An even better one, an even much better one. Okay, everyone. So back. It's more. Yeah, 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 yeah. That's right. Okay, okay, okay. Stop. Okay, so what's up, everybody? I think I'm wearing a headphone. I'm just watching some on TV. So, okay, so as the title suggests, I'm gonna try and do another take on this this iceberg. I think I added a few new things. I don't know if you could look at my channel. You guys could see that I like uploaded um I think two or just one video where it's me going through me doing the whole I trying to do the iceberg at least, but it was like in a different format from now, where it's like I have my camera pointed at the TV and I'm using my switch to look up only the videos really. So it was really tough to do. Um, yeah, it was really tough to do when I first did this iceberg, like I think 4 or 5 years ago, I think. Hold up. When did I do it? What was it? It was like 4 or 5 years ago. I know it was a nice room. Yeah, it was like oh, it was 2 years ago. Yeah, so I just uploaded this private video of just the iceberg and I just used the entire video. Hold up. Like I have it right. Hold on. I think I can search it up. Hold on. Yeah, because it's really dumb. It was really weird. It was really weird why I did this. I think it's because I wanted to do. I mean, thing was, I was supposed to do a um just a regular video format where it was just me uploading a video. A whole thing's edited, but my phone had no storage. That's how I usually did my videos. And it looks like it's a glitchy. Yeah, it looks like it's glitchy. Screw. I got that Lake Mungo filter. Nah, that's scary. Um, seeing your own being killing you, that's gotta be crazy. Nah, I couldn't do that. I could not deal with it, dude. I'll be like, well, I'm dead. Yeah, I'm pretty much just dead. Consider me dead, to be honest. EA, it was my biggest regret getting EA. Okay, okay, okay. But yeah, it like had a filter of the griffin. Yeah, hold up, let me just try and see if I can show. It's really, it's really crazy. Like you see that, it's like what? That's how it used to be. Yeah, so the entire time, it didn't even look that good quality. The more I think about it,
Ah,
I can let me click. Yeah,
mm,
like that's
Godzilla
how
against Mechagodzilla.
yeah, like that's how I used to do it. And it's like the whole thing was over YouTube video I uploaded but made it private. I think that's crazy. I think that aspect is crazy work. Because it's like, how? It's like, it's like, that shit was before. That was way before what I have now, the setup I have now that I'm using now. So it's like, it's kind of crazy to be honest with you. But yeah, I don't think I got through the whole thing. I think at some point I just decided to just end it. You just ended it, and I was like, "No, I can't." Yes, I just decided, I'm not gonna do that. Yeah, just another crack at it. So that's what I'm doing right now. Another crack at the iceberg. Um, I think I think I did mention I added a few new things since the last time I did it. That's definitely something I know. I added I think a few more things, but I just forgot. I have to look back at the original image. But yeah, I definitely did do that. I definitely did do that. So yeah, let me just show you all what I'm working with right now. Yes. Yeah, as you guys can see, I got the entire iceberg right here. Is a new unified iceberg. Top goes from left, right is the very. Did, is, did I manage to get the very bottom one? I think Shin Godzilla was that. I think Shin Godzilla was that. The very end. E- If not, then I think I kind of. Oh yeah, I messed up. E- Yeah, I kind of messed up. Um, if I didn't shoot. Should have like a wire to help me out. Gotcha. Yeah. No, I think that'd be crazy. It does. Yes. Yeah, it's gonna take a bit. Shoot. Okay. Got it. Oh shit. Ooh, get into spooky stuff. About to turn this into the spectacular. Hey, can't see. Oh, it has. It's dark as hell. What is it? Where it's I'm scared. Now they say I got that Lake Mungo. That's a creepy movie. Creepy ass movie. That's weird. Yeah, that works. Alright, yeah, that works. You know, 15 minutes of me doing shenanigans. No, that's not good. Alright. Right. Yeah, but it's good. I don't think there's a way. Nah, you won't. It's okay. Yeah, you won't. Yeah. All right, no more messing around. I might as well just put something to be like, all right, it's where I start. All right. So, yep, got the iceberg right here. It goes from, so I'm pretty sure everyone knows what an iceberg is, how it works. Yeah, yeah, I'm pretty sure everyone knows how an iceberg works. By this point, but if you don't know, to do a quick summary, it's a fairly simple concept that a lot of people have been, um, that a lot of people have been doing, making a lot of, it's like this large image of an iceberg, and you just put into separate sections. Like you have the sky, and it leads down. Right, you have the sky, which that one's optional, really, in my opinion. But if not, then you could just do like then you could just do regular things. If you don't want to do that, then you might then okay. You don't need to include the sky, but usually anything on the sky or sometimes even in the at like the tip of the iceberg, it's basically stuff that is known. It's really a fact kind of thing, right? It's really facts. That's all it really is. Maybe bringing up information, all that. Usually stuff from the sky, or usually stuff on the sky or the tip of the iceberg, depending on what you see. Hell, maybe it could even they might even include both. Usually the sky is where a lot of the well-known stuff is there. A lot of well-known stuff, not very creepy stuff, depending on what it is, not very obscure stuff. It's literally just things that a lot of people know. Tip of the iceberg, it's the same thing, but once you start getting into the waters, uh, that's where you start getting into a lot of very obscure stuff. That's when you start getting into like some of the more interesting and obscure stuff that people may or may not know. Usually, once you get towards like, I don't know if you see it right down there, but like right down there, once you get to the bottom of the iceberg, you start seeing a lot of like, there's a lot of things that you must have elite ball knowledge to know. From below, you over here, as I said, elite ball knowledge. You have to have elite ball knowledge to know about this. Hell, it doesn't even have to be something that you have to know. It could be anything, right? It could really be something that you might notice because it might sound obscure, maybe even slightly disturbing, creepy, or it's like a massive mystery. But that's really what it is, and that's how I set it up. It's really just well-known stuff on the sky. Some well-known stuff that people may or may not know. You know, everyone may or may not know. Usually the tip, and once you get to the waters, that's where I'm like including a lot of stuff that a lot of people really don't know. That people may or may not know. You might either have to be a fan to know about it or not. You may even have to be someone that has gone into the history, you know, kept up with Godzilla and Kong stuff to know about it. And like as you keep going, it's like the stuff that I decide to include. You know, stuff that's like could be disturbing and all that. Or just obscure facts and all that. But it's like, or just stuff I decide to include because it's like it feels right because it's like I feel like it should be brought up. So let's get into this because I don't want to waste any more time. Damn, we're 20 minutes in. But yeah, that's usually how an iceberg goes. The first one that we have is the sky. Um, so to top it all off, we have Toho, which is where Godzilla comes from. They're a Japanese company that has created Godzilla. You know, that's pretty much that's pretty much the studio that created Godzilla, the company that created Godzilla. Alongside Godzilla, they also created other stuff. other franchise, other well-known franchises, like Ultraman, Gamera. I think Gamera was something else, but I think no, I don't know about Gamera to be honest with you. I think Gamera was part of Toho or was like a collab. I know that Toho has collab with the studio that has made Gamera, but Toho in a way is kind of like the father of suit of monster movies, right? That's how I can that's the best way I can put it. In a way, Toho is kind of like the father of kaiju movies. They were pretty much the first people to create a form of film that isn't really used anymore, but even then it's still used once in a while. It's still used in various forms, and that's suit motion, which is using a suit to create, using a suit to putting people into suits to create the giant to make it look like it's a giant monster, giant kaiju, and the yeah, a giant monster, um, and it's using special effects. You or in green screen, you be able to like make it look, it's a person in a suit, really. But yeah, Toho did create that. They were the fathers of that, and from then on, a lot of other people used it. You know, they have dabbled in stop motion at times, but mostly they're well known for their suit motions. Especially in the Godzilla series, which has used a lot, which is the original ones they did use a lot of suit motion, which yeah, it's a very tiring process to create, which I'm like, oh, you look at the suits is very fascinating. And whatever I'm saying right now, it does lead into something that will be mentioned later in the iceberg. Uh the next one is Godzilla. Obviously it's the big man himself. Godzilla was the most well-known and iconic monster um in history. The really depending on the version, usually he's always depicted as being this giant this giant radioactive dinosaur. He was created through atomic bomb test, but I feel like um I think one thing that's yeah, what's mentioned is that Godzilla was created by atomic bomb tests back I think during the bomb testings in 1954, and from there he grew. I think it was this dinosaur that possibly is the last known dinosaur, which by now is called, but which is mentioned to be called Godzillasaurus, which is like this fictional small dinosaur, um, who will and basically the last living dinosaur who would end up becoming Godzilla because of the radiation, which caused him to grow massive in size have have like radiate or have the atomic breath, which is his well-known attack form of attack. But all he really just does it in the I mean he all he really just does is like terrorize, and of course because and from there, after the original Gojira movie from 1954, from there he became well known. You get Godzilla, the Return. Was it no, not the Return of Godzilla. You get the sequel where he's fighting Angus. Um, which Angus is basically which let's just bring up Angus. Quick little moment. Angus is basically the first monster Godzilla has fought, which is really interesting. But yeah, Godzilla, big man himself. He actually went on to become an actual citizen in Japan, which is crazy. Um, and telling from that, he became an icon in Japan. Um, even bigger than possibly even bigger than Pikachu from Pokemon, like even bigger. It went as far as him becoming an official citizen in Japan, getting his own Walk of Fame star, and it's really crazy. It's really crazy, but you gotta give him props. Eventually he never had an Oscar, but they still kept going and it didn't really matter up until Godzilla Minus One came out, which that movie became the first that became the first Godzilla movie to ever get an Oscars, which is crazy. And a lot of people were really glad because Godzilla Minus One was genuinely a good movie. I like recommend it. Um, and going straight to Anguirus, Anguirus, as I said, he was the first monster Godzilla has ever fought. Um, which I think it was, what was the movie? What was the movie called? It was, I can't believe I forgot about the movie. It wasn't, I think it was a Terror of God. No, no. What was it? It was Godzilla Raids Again. Okay. Oh my God. I can't believe I forgot about it. Um, but yeah, Angus was the second monster that was the very first monster that Godzilla has fought in the official sequel to the 1954 movie called Godzilla Raids Again, released back in 1955. And Anguirus is like this giant armadillo, is like this giant armadillo monster. Most likely he might have been like a giant most likely he similar to Godzilla, he must have been like this ancient creature. I have not seen Godzilla Raids Again, that's the thing. So I really gotta and so I really got I should find a copy of that movie, find a way to watch it. But yeah, he is like this giant ankylosaurus like kaiju, almost armadillo. Um, he was basically the very first monster Godzilla has fought. In that movie, they're pretty much enemies. Um, I'm pretty sure he was created the same way as Godzilla. He might have been a monster. He might have been like a last living creature that ended up growing in size just like Godzilla and got mutated to have spikes on his back. One of the things for certain was that originally the back plate was supposed to open like flaps, and I guess it was supposed to like fold up so he could do like some form of attack to do some form of attack. But I think because of how hard it was to do that, they just decided to not use that attack and they just left it like that. But there are instances in the original movie where you could see his the flaps. Yeah, look right in here. You could see that his flaps actually do go up. I think it was yeah, like you could see it right there. Like his flap goes up. I don't think it was even supposed to split. I think it was literally just supposed to fold up and then just attack whatever it is. But yeah, there are instances in Godzilla Raids Again where it does move where you could see a flap in the back part flapping up and down, which was which is pretty much evidence for something like that. Um Eventually, though, he did end up getting this ability of his where he is able to roll into a ball. Most of the time, even in the games, you could see that he does use his spikes to his advantage, where he's just, bam, he just slams himself into his enemies and just and rolls into a ball. Uh, which I think it's cool. Which I think that's pretty cool. That's almost very Sonic the Hedgehog like before Sonic the Hedgehog. Yeah, so I think that's pretty cool. I think in my opinion, aside from Godzilla, Anguirus was definitely a cool monster. I think he was. Um, it's crazy though, because at first he was an enemy of Godzilla only in that movie. The second time he was an enemy to Godzilla was in Final Wars, but that's because the Zillions were mind controlling him along with King Caesar and Rodan. Um, but other than that though, he's been a great ally to Anguirus or to Godzilla. You know, um yeah, Godzilla and Anguirus were great allies. Guess you could say they became a duo. Next one is Mothra. She real alongside Godzilla, she has become a very popular monster. All she really is just a giant moth. That's all she really is. She is never depicted that she is never, and even in the original movies, she is never a villain. All right, she is never a villain. Rather, she is a protector of Earth. Um, as I said, she's really just a giant moth. I mean, the MonsterVerse, she's like this. She's technically still like this giant moth, but she also has aspects associated to like a butterfly-like design. So it's like a hybrid, in my opinion. I don't know. I don't know how to really describe it, but that's what it reminds me of. Like just what you see in a butterfly and a moth kind of hybrid. That's what I can see. On with a hornet, just because of that back part, and how she's able to stab her enemies. She is able to like spew out webs which trap her enemies, whoever she uses on, and I guess, and she also has this ability where it's almost like a poison in a way. It's almost like a poisonous, it's almost like poison glitter. That's what turn off later. It's like this poison glitter that I think causes um that I think in a way suffocates. I mean, it makes it hard for whoever's in it to breathe. Um, yeah, but yeah, she has become a well-known monster. She's known as the queen of the monsters. And along with her, she also has these two little fairies, who are pretty much who they're pretty much the voice of Mothra in a way. Like they're almost like her messengers. Um, yeah, like they're usually just depicted as being twins. Um, so far in the MonsterVerse, you don't see any of it. You don't see the twins. Although originally, um, was it two of the act or two characters in King of the Monsters? You could see that Barrow is they were originally supposed to be almost like the fairy-like character. Hold up. Yeah, like these two. These two were originally supposed to be the twins. There is concept art in a deleted post-credit scene where these two would have appeared in front of a new egg, which was one of the ones mentioned in a newspaper in the end credit scene of Godzilla King of the Monsters from 2019. They were supposed to like be depicted as almost like her fairies, even though I don't think they're actually supposed to be fairies. Either way, though, that's almost like a hint, direct hint that oh yeah, they're almost believing fairies, but they're not like the fairies. They're just they just watch over her. But yeah, I guess that egg in the newspaper was supposed in the King of Monsters was supposed to be a Mothra egg, possibly. Nah, Ben. Wait, I don't know because that later because after that movie, that egg is never mentioned again. It may still exist, but who knows? It's never brought up again. Um, and as I said, that post credit scene was removed, so you don't see them. You don't see them being depicted as being the fairies. So yeah, it's pretty upsetting. But yeah, that's Mothra. Um, oh, and also before I move on to the next one, she Mothra also stars in her own she also stars in her own series of movies. It's depending on what it is, it's usually just Mothra. If it's not Mothra, then it's someone else. Another Mothra, another Moth. There's Mothra Leo, who's technically her son, I guess. But mostly he's just a male version of Mothra. It's kind of dumb, but it's not dumb. It's actually pretty cool, in my opinion. That even then, even before their Mothra and Godzilla fight each other in the movie Mothra versus or Godzilla versus a Thing or Godzilla versus Mothra. I think Godzilla versus a Thing, it was more of a Western thing, while the official name in Japan was just Godzilla versus Mothra. Um, yeah, usually Mothra is not even when it comes down to Godzilla and Mothra's relationship, it's very like she knows that Godzilla is an evil thing, but it's like I think she also knows that he's not exactly he's more of a destructive monster. I think Mothra is well aware that Godzilla is a destructive monster, but yeah, she knows that Godzilla is a destructive monster, but she also knows that he is something that could basically be the thing standing between anything space related or anything truly evil, and Earth's destruction. So I think that's why she keeps him around because it's like, oh Godzilla, can you go deal with him? He's gonna destroy Zero. Why can't you do it? Sorry, honey, it's just I gotta watch over my eggs, I gotta watch over my islands. Okay. I can imagine that's why they get into massive fights. But yeah, usually Godzilla and Mothra, especially in the older movies, they're always like fighting against each other. They're like great foes. As I said, Mothra views Godzilla as a destructive creature, while Godzilla just sees Mothra as another monster that like he has to kind of kill or dominate over, I guess. Saying that it's like oh freaky. But yeah. There are moments though where Godzilla and Mothra are like do end up having to team up, but that's very far few in between. The first time they do team up is in Ghidorah's a three-headed monster from the show era. Mothra in it, she's just her larval form. Um, which um, yeah, this pretty much how the Mothra larva looks. But yeah, Ghidorah's a three-headed monster. She's just in her larva form, and she tries to get Godzilla and Rodan to team up with her. Although Rodan and Godzilla already had their own beef, but she does manage to get their attention once they see that I guess once they see that she is telling the truth, King Ghidorah was there. But yeah, Godzilla and Mothra have a um I think in Godzilla versus or in Godzilla, I know in Godzilla Final Wars, they're not directly like talking to each other. They don't have any form of interaction, but Godzilla and Mothra do end up fighting against Kaiser Ghidorah and Modified Gigan. Godzilla up against Kaiser Ghidorah and Mothra against Gigan, which is pretty cool. But in that movie, there's no rivalry between Godzilla and Mothra. Rather, it's between Mothra and Gigan, and really, I'm gonna say right now is that the Millennium Era, which people are gonna get so confused. What should I watch? What should I watch? And it's like, dude, it's a Millennium series. Let's watch the movie. They're enjoyable, depending on the movie, but very enjoyable. Um, in the MonsterVerse, Godzilla and Mothra do have some form of they do have a symbiotic relationship as it's described. Um, Godzilla and Mothra respect each other as Godzilla being king, Mothra being queen. So it's like they both do respect each other. Although it's kind of funny because a lot of people like they be drawing off just fan art. Once it's depicted that Godzilla and Mothra don't it aren't enemies like in the originals. It's all that fan art, I swear, dude. All right. Next up is King Ghidorah. King Ghidorah, he is the reason why I have the reason why I have these five together is because in a way they're almost like the big five known. I think they're kind of like the big five, although I could be wrong because King Caesar, I don't know. I think he's also among them, but usually but mostly the ones that I depicted here were pretty much the big five. Especially Godzilla, Mothra, and Ghidorah, since they're real common. But King Ghidorah though, he's basically Godzilla's arch nemesis in a way. Like I swear, Godzilla and King Ghidorah, it's on-site battle. It's on-site fight. It's not even like, oh, you're messing with my city. Oh, I'm gonna destroy you. And it's not like Godzilla being looking at Ghidorah like, oh, you're destroying Japan. Oh, no, only I can do that. No, it's like, oh, you're here? Oh, cancel it out. Like they are literally like it's like an ongoing rivalry between the two. There is never a moment where Godzilla and Ghidorah are like are kind of forced to like team up. They're literally enemies, arch enemies. Yeah, this how yeah. So Ghidorah is supposed to be like this giant this three-headed monster. Of this giant three-headed dragon. Um, no. He's a really well-known villain. He's possibly the one villain that can really go toe to toe with Godzilla. And still get and still and s- Godzilla would still need he's among the monsters who would actually be able to go toe to toe with Godzilla. Like it's really an on-site rivalry between the two. Um and he's pretty much the reason why because of Ghidorah, he's pretty much the reason why Godzilla, Mothra, and Rodan end up having to team up. He's like this giant space dragon sent by aliens from space to destroy Earth, just destroy it so then they could like invade it, you know. Um, there is one moment though where he's not. There is one of the movies. It was in GMK Destroy or Giant Monsters. No, I'm not even gonna count it. I'm not gonna say the whole name. It's like a long ass name, but it's like a really long name. But there's one moment where it's like but in that movie in GMK, Ghidorah, instead of being a villain, he's actually a protector of Earth, just like Mothra. He's like this dragon, a good dragon instead of being a bad dragon, you know. Um this is how this is how it looks. Yeah, this is how it looks in that movie. He's supposed to be like this mythical dragon that gets summoned to go against Godzilla, who in that movie is a villain. In that movie, Godzilla is basically created from the spirit of hundreds of Vietnam soldiers from the spirits of Vietnam soldiers who are out for vengeance. And Ghidorah here is actually the good guy. He comes from Earth, not from space. So he teams up with Mothra to take down Godzilla. Um, but usually he's always depicted as the villain. Um, he also has another form, which is this one right here, Mecha King Ghidorah. He's a cyborg. Wings are reattached. No, no, the wings are cyber. Body is cyber. The middle head is a robot. He's a cyborg basically. He still has some organic parts there, like the two heads and the rest of the other body, but like the main body, along with the middle head and the I guess the tails and the wings, it's all robot. It's all robotic parts. I think he's the villain in that one. I think he was sent by aliens. But yeah, um, yeah, he's pretty cool. And one cool fact is that in the movie Ghidorah's a three-headed monster, he's actually supposed to be a rainbow dragon. Like he's not supposed to be the iconic gold scales that he's not supposed to have the iconic gold scales. He's not supposed to look like the one we see him as, and especially now. He's not supposed to be this creature that has gold scales. He's actually supposed to be almost like this rainbow dragon, which you see in this art right here. The problem was, um, yeah, let me just try and see if I could find one. Y- Or well, I mean, you can still find it. I'm not sure about behind the scenes stuff, but like. the reason, okay, yeah, like this is how he's supposed to actually look, all right? That like the one on the right, that's how he's supposed to look, but because of I think the camera, I think because of how the camera looked, it made Ghidorah look like he had gold scales instead of being this blue scales with yellow and red wings. Almost looking like a rainbow dragon in some way, instead of being the gold scale lead that we see him as now. But eventually, because of how he looked, they couldn't really do anything, and people really did love it. People did love his design, his the gold design. So they just stuck with it. They just stuck with it. Um, yeah, yeah, they stuck with it. Me personally, I think it's cool, but the gold skills definitely do fit in. It's almost like an illusion. Usually dragons and usually Japanese dragons, when they have gold skills, it's always like this mythical thing. But seeing it at being a villain, I think that's pretty cool. I think that's pretty cool actually. Um, what else? Yeah, he was sent by yeah. But yeah, that's Ghidorah for you. He's a really popular monster. Um, alongside Godzilla and Mothra, he's really popular. I like him. I like him a lot. Um, he's also had different variants. That did appear in Godzilla. That has appeared in the Mothra series, like Desi Ghidorah, who's supposed to be like this. Yeah, Desi Ghidorah, who appeared in the Mothra series, who's of course supposed to have who has three heads, but he has a body instead of just a body and the two legs. He walks on all fours and he has three heads. This is really his design, which and instead of doing lightning strikes like Ghidorah, he just blows fire, which I'll be honest with you, I never heard about this one. The only other The only other Ghidorah I knew about, aside from the main one, was Kaiser Ghidorah, who's not exactly Ghidorah. He's supposed to be Monster X. Monster X. Yeah, like this is how Ghidorah. Yeah, like in Final Wars, this is Monster X. This is how he looks, and this right here, this is how his other transformation looks. Kaiser Ghidorah. Um, walks on all fours, has wings, and has three heads. In a way, he has similar powers to. In a way, he does have similar strikes to Ghidorah, except that when it looks at it, he's able to pick them up. He's able to pick things up, which I think is cool. Um, I guess you could say this thing is a much stronger version, but he still gets decimated from Godzilla. But either way, he got help, so there's that. So we don't have to go crying. Yeah. But yeah, that's Ghidorah. Um, a really well-known villain. Then there's Rodan. The next one is Rodan, who it's kind of weird because another name I heard was that his name is supposed to be Radon. Yeah, like the Japanese name is Radon. But but in the West he's known as Rodan. He's just supposed to be this giant bird. Depending on his design, he will look either usually he would always look like a bird. Just a giant just this giant bird, and just like Godzilla and just like Mothra, before his appearance in Ghidorah the Three-Headed Monster, he had his own solo movie called Rodan, and yeah, I think I did see that movie, but and it was a pretty. I think it was very interesting because it had like two Rodans. And I think there's an egg, but it's how he's depicted in the poster. But this is how he looks, his original design looks. Um, I'll be honest, looking at it, that looks pretty damn creepy. There's something so eerie about that one. This design, there's just something so creepy about it. It's from 1956. Yeah, the 1956 design looks creepy, but based on it looks in 1964, looking more like a giant almost looking like a giant vulture or something like that. But the 1956 one down looks creepy. Yeah, like he looks so creepy. It looks so weird. Some golly. But yeah, Rodan, depending on the design, he would always be depicted as this some giant bird. But he also had wait, I think I spelled that right. But in other versions, but in other versions, I don't know which one was this. I think this was Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla 2. He has a more pterodactyl or pteranodon like appearance. This one makes him look more like a pterodactyl. And in his singular point design, he looks like a Quetzal. He looks like this thing, a Quetzalcoatlus. So he's the most deadliest bird. Wait a minute, I don't think I don't think that's a bird. But it's based on, but the design of this one is based more on the bird, on this giant bird, which is creepy as hell, which is, you do not want to deal with. Um, the MonsterVerse design, he has more of a giant bird-like design. Um, I think the closest I could say is almost like a vulture-like head or a hawk. I don't know. Or you know how to describe it, but it's something like that. But yeah, this one's Fire Rodan though. In that one he was like an ally to Godzilla. And Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla 2. But yeah, um, he doesn't usually I think one of the main powers that he has is being able to fly so fast, or his wingspan possibly caused by his wings, but he can fly fast, and from that he's able to cause like these or not shock waves, but it's almost like he's able to destroy or blow things away. He has a very strong wind. He can cause very strong winds when he flies. Like anything that's below or low, at least close to where he's at, he's able to like cause these really high and violent winds. Fire Rodanzo, he has the ability to I think from what's shown, I think I'm only getting this from Godzilla Battle Line. He's able to like shoot out this fire beam, and it's actually which yeah, it adds more to his power, but mostly he's really just a giant bird that's able to cause violent winds. Um, And Godzilla and Rodan, it's very tough for their history because they're mostly depicted as like at first in Ghidorah the three-headed monster, they were like enemies. You know, they were like two dudes about to like two dudes that were they were like invading each other's territories and they were like, just fighting each other before Mothra got into their head got got into their dick heads and was like doing and we were like, okay. So we were pretty chill. As far as I've seen, they've been pretty chill. Feels like Angus and Godzilla, Rodan and Godzilla, they haven't really fought, except in Godzilla Final Wars. But that one was because same thing. Rodan was mind controlled by Zillions. So yeah, that's Rodan. Not much to talk about him, but he's still pretty cool. Like, even for his simple design, he's still pretty unique. He's still cool in the monsters. Although not really my favorite, but he's still pretty cool. Amber's Godzilla's the animated series. I feel like that one should have been in the second. Godzilla's the animated series is supposed to be the direct sequel to the 1998 movie, which takes place directly after the events of the 1998 movie. Um, and it follows on the last surviving Godzilla egg that was seen in that movie, who ends up being called Godzilla Jr. And Godzilla Jr. In that show, it actually does a lot more. It introduces a lot more original monsters. It introduces a lot more original monsters. And It introduces a lot of pretty interesting monsters. Most of them are just mutants. In the series, instead of being called kaijus, they're called in a way they're all described as being mutants. Um, and I think it ran from 1998, I think the same year, all the way to 2001. Damn, that's crazy. But this show, it's been a lot of people's childhoods. It was sad. People were sad, you know. In this one, unlike his dad, he Godzilla Jr. is actually pretty strong and agile. And one of the unique things is that Nick Totopoulos from the main movie, he ends up finding Godzilla Jr. and imprints on him as a baby. So once he returns as an adult on the very same episode, I think a year later, he ends up recognizing Nick and in a way becomes almost like Nick's pet in a way. From there, Nick ends up creating Heat, a group that specialize in observe. They're more of an environmental group. They keep the ecosystem safe and secure. Um, but at the same, yeah, it's made up of these guys. They keep they try and keep the environment. They're like an environmental group. They try and keep the environment safe and check up on it, while at the same time they also try and make sure. While at the same time they try and see if there's any like suspicious mutant activity, and they also try and check up on keep an eye on Godzilla. Um, which Godzilla is I don't know. He's more depicted as kind of being a hero, although still does his own thing. I definitely know there's one moment. Hold on, let me see if I can search it up. Although there is one moment where, although there is one moment though where Godzilla Jr. Sees that there's like a moving train and he decides to try and stop it. Hold up. Yeah, I found the clip. No, I don't care about the living spaces.
Ready to refresh your space for less? At Living Spaces, thoughtful design and direct sourcing keep prices
Living
low while quality stays
spaces.
high.
Get out of here. Yeah, like running this girl right here. Oh, okay, it's not over here now. But yeah, it's like a moving train. And I'm not gonna stop. Yeah, like he tries to.
I hate commuting.
Yeah, so he's depicted more heroically in this series. As he does try to stop other mutants. He does help stop other mutants that appear. Um, but it doesn't mean that he fight. But it doesn't. But there are moments. There is an episode where it does show that he isn't straight up trying to outright kill them or try and show his dominance. He also does understand. It does show you that he does have a pretty good sense of acknowledgement. There's one where he meets he does meet this one. He does end up meeting Nessie, the Loch Ness monster, and in that one they're fighting at first, but Nessie ends up hearing, so I guess there's like this guy that ends up capturing Nessie's child, and so he's pretty upset about it, and I guess in the way it does end up like understanding.
Hey, Doc, time to reach out and touch a mom.
and like they're fighting here. I wonder if I'm gonna make it complicated. Yeah, so he's trying to capture the Loch Ness monster by trying to lure it with his by capturing his child, and yeah, Godzilla ends up helping. Godzilla ends up understanding what's going on. Yeah, like this show does actually try to show Godzilla as being more than just this monster that tries to claim territory, but it does help try and not humanize, but show that Godzilla is smart. All right, he does know when something's up. All right, if there is something is up, he's able to have that understanding. And mm, it was a unlike the 1998 movie where it received negative review, where it was deemed the worst Godzilla movie. The animated series was actually well received. It used to it aired on Fox Kids. So yeah, it was pretty crazy. They even do some where he fights his own dad. Maybe where he fights his own dad. Like at first, like his name's Cyber Godzilla. He's basically this universe's Mecha Godzilla, except yeah, just like Mecha King Ghidorah, it's basically it's created by aliens, right? They use the dead carcass of the 1998 movie Godzilla, of the 1998 Godzilla, and they just give him cyber parts, all these um alien technology. They replace his hand and all that. So yeah, this is supposed to be Cyber Godzilla. At first, Godzilla listens because it's obviously his dad, but he ends up going against him. And he ends up going against Cyber Godzilla because of Nick, and he's like, "Nah, you're not." It's almost like you could tell he's like, "Wait a minute, I'm sorry, Dad, but you're not my dad. You're not my dad, man. I'm gonna have to destroy you." So it's like he ends up killing him. He ends up putting him back in his grave. Basically giving him the death, making him remain dead in a way, almost like giving him the death he deserves. Not in a bad way, but more like I gotta let you rest, man. I'll let you rest. You guys did something to my dad. You guys did something to my pops. But yeah, Godzilla's an animated series. It was well received. Um, it was received better than the 1998 movie. So yeah, I don't really know where you can find it. I don't know where you can find it, but I know that there was like a box. It was like a one disc, but it had a complete series in it, and I wanted to buy it, but I never did. I'm so upset about it. So next one is Skull Island. So next one is gonna be Skull Island. This is gonna be our first Kong thing. All right. That's basically it's basic Skull Island is basically where Kong lives. He's basically king there. Bonzi Island, it's almost like a lost island, almost like a island lost in time. All right. Like you get all like dinosaurs are still alive, but aside from them, you also got these massive creatures, other massive creatures. Um, you know, also even plant-like creatures. Yeah, like that's really what Skull Island is. in the MonsterVerse though, the MonsterVerse is the iteration of Skull Island. It's basically this. It's almost like it's described as being Hollow Earth, but put up. It's almost like Hollow Earth resurfaced, right, in the surface. In the MonsterVerse version of Skull Island, they actually go even further with what Skull Island could be. Like, it's not even just giant creatures, dinosaurs, but it's like various other creatures that could actually kill you, like plant-like creatures, giant insects, giant, very unique insects like the baboon, like the like the baboon spider. Oh, what was it called? Mother Longlegs. Okay, yeah, okay, yeah. So, which is basic, but yeah, Mother Longlegs, it's which has almost like a which has crab-like, which has things that could grab. At the same time, its legs almost look like baboons, like bamboo sticks, bamboo trees. So you could easily get confused. So you could be standing next to one, and it's like you could see its move, and it's like, holy crap, it's a buzzard long legs. So it's like, yeah, it's pretty creepy. Um, but yeah, it's a pretty disgusting little thing. Um, but as I said, Skull Island is it's almost like a lost island. It's basically a lost island. There are tribes in there. There are indigenous tribes that live there. The indigenous tribes that live there, but usually Skull Island always depicted as being like this place full of very mythical looking creatures and dinosaurs that are supposed to be dead but are still alive and all that. Like I think like usually that's how Skull Island is depicted. You know what I mean? Like that's how Skull Island is usually depicted. And from there that's where Kong lives. Um and going and bringing up Kong, let's go. Oh, here's Kong himself, which he's always depicted as being this giant ape. He's always depicted as this giant ape, or possibly like in the 2005 movie, he's more depicted as this giant gorilla. While in the original 1930, like the 2005 one, he's really just a giant gorilla. The original 1933 one, and most of his iterations, he's always depicted as being this giant ape. Um, yeah, he's always being depicted as this giant ape. In the original night, in when it comes down to the King Kong story, it's always like this beauty kills the beast kind of story. But usually the story of King Kong is always associated with Kong being so infatuated by beauty that it led to his death. Like that's how it really is. Like the yeah mm, yeah King Kong is the eighth wonder of the world. I swear if you during 1933, he's definitely the eighth wonder of the world. Still is to this day, actually. But yeah, his story is pretty tragic though because he's just an ape that ended up getting that he was a king in his island on Skull Island. He's a king there. But because Carl Denham and his men ended up capturing him, they take him to New York as a way to earn money off of him. They want to show the world that yeah, this is Kong. Yeah, we weren't joking and all that. Yeah, we had him in chains, and he's being used as a show thing. You know, it's almost like a they're being paid to people are being charged to look at this lineage, and they make a show with him out of him. And of course, um, he ends up getting fried. He ends up getting aggressive and just breaks his unbreakable chains. And he breaks out of it, causes a rampage in New York, and at the same time he also tries looking for Anne. And Daryl is always gonna be the the beauty who is sacrificed to Kong that Kong loves. All right, and that leads up to the Empire State Building, him climbing up to it, hoping that he could get away from the attack from people that are trying to hunt him down or trying to kill him, put him down. And then it leads up to the iconic plane fight where he tries to fight the best as he can, but obviously, but because they're planes and he can't really do much, he's basically cornered himself. Um, so from there he ends up getting shot by the planes. In the original 1933 one, he just keeps Anne up there, and of course she's frightened. But in the 1976 one, that one was the one where it depicts more of a Beauty and the Beast kind of story, where where Anne, or in that one, her name's Duane. I don't know why, but in the 1976 one, her name's Duane. She ends up seeing more of like this scared side of Kong. You know, she sees more of like this. She sees more than just a giant ape. She sees more like this scared creature um that thinks it's trying to that who she wants to protect because Kong thinks that he's trying to because in that one Kong, or really in that one, including the 2005 movie, Kong is believes he's protecting Anne in the city, but in reality Anne wants to protect him because this is a new world and he's very unknown to it, and it's really sad. It's really sad in my opinion, because he ends up getting shot down. Anne is trying, you know, in that one, she's trying to, I think Duane in the 1976 one, she's trying to stop them. Same goes with the 2005 movie. She's trying to call off the planes, trying to tell them, wait, stop, 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 don't kill him. And he, well, they don't hear. They just shoot him down, bleeding to his death. He falls down. Leading up to Carl Denham's iconic line being it wasn't the planes that killed Beauty. It was Beauty that killed the Beast. And what that means is because Kong saw so much beauty, was so infatuated by Anne's beauty that he did not he that it pretty much led to his death. You know, he was so distracted, so focused on trying to keep her safe and trying to put her safe. I don't know. I mean, it really depends on how you see that quote as, because for me, how I see it, Kong protects has so much focus on Anne that he forgets to think about himself, you know, to keep himself safe. He's so protective of Anne that ends up leading to him actually dying for her. So it's like really sad. Um, 1976 one, I haven't seen it, but I know that Duane is pretty sad. But the 2005 one, which I grew up on, that's more emphasized in my opinion. Actually, in my opinion, the 2005 one emphasizes more on the Beauty and the Beast kind of story, which is very beautiful. I really do recommend it. Like if you want a classic monster movie style, then you watch the 1932 one. But if you want it more but if you want the Beauty and the Beast kind of take that I'm telling you guys about, then watch the 2005 one. I really do recommend it. It's the Peter Jackson one is definitely a great one. Um, what's interesting though is that in the Peter Jackson video game adaptation of the movie adaptation of King Kong, in both the GBA and I don't know if I don't know if what other I know that the console version, like there it is possible to get an alternate ending in the game where Jack flies a plane, he shoots down all the pilots, and Kong from there they're able to return Kong to his home, which is actually a much more happier ending because in that one he doesn't die. Right, he ends up surviving and manages to get back home, and Jack and I think Carl Denham. I know that in the GBA one, they do show that Carl Denham goes along with them to take Kong back to Skull Island. And from there, Anne takes care of Kong. Kong takes care of all of them. So yeah, it's really a much happier ending in my opinion. I'm gonna go with that one. Yeah, that's canonically the ending. But nah, he gets shot down, he dies. Yeah, that's a real ending. But I'm just gonna say, nah, he lives, he lives and he goes back to Skull Island. So I'm just gonna say that. But yeah, that's Kong. He in a way, yeah, no, I'll bring this up later. But yeah, Kong, in a way, because without Kong, it wouldn't lead to the creation of Godzilla. That's something that has been mentioned where without Kong being without Kong's success at being at becoming the most iconic movie monster in cinema, without Kong, it wouldn't lead to the creation of Godzilla, which is something that's like, ooh, that's really surprising. Actually, not even just Godzilla, all of these other monster movies that were created right after the 1933 Kong, after the 1933 King Kong movie, which is pretty crazy. It's pretty crazy if you think about it. Um, but yeah, that's Kong. Um, Burning Godzilla, it's possibly one of now burn moving on to Burning Godzilla. I don't know why I put him up here. I don't know why I put Brain Godzilla here, but I just thought it was like, oh, a lot of people do know about this. But basically, Burning Godzilla is this one form Godzilla takes when he absorbs way too much when he absorbs way too much radiation. His first appearance was in Godzilla versus Destroyer, and he absorbed way too much radiation, and it led up to him having burning parts in his body. A lot of this is the original design. Eyes glowing red. His blue atomic breath gets replaced by this fiery red atomic breath, and it's really scary. Um, he's burning, he's smoking up. But the thing that makes him terrifying is that he becomes a walking nuclear bomb. So yeah, that causes a massive worry for the people, especially for the defense force, because Godzilla, he's pissed. Because Godzilla, he's trying to look for his son, and he here comes Destroyer, and it's like, ha ha ha, I killed your son, I killed your son. It's like Destroyer's Godzilla's like, ah, that's so he ends up killing him. Um, So he ends up killing him, destroy him. But then after Destroy's death, that ends up leading up to Godzilla going in a meltdown. The meltdown meaning that he's gonna explode in like a few minutes. Right? He ends up going into a meltdown. Um, and the defense force is trying to cool him off, but it's like they don't think they fear it's not gonna work. All right, but you're doing everything they can to cool him off, but they fear it's not gonna work. But it does work. I think it does work in some way because although although he doesn't blow up, he does end up transferring his energy into his dead son when he finds him. Right? He does end up transferring his energy, and basically that moment is possibly the most saddest moment for a lot of Godzilla fans. Because it's like you got this sad music, you got him going on a meltdown, he lost his son, right? So it's really a lot going on. Um, so it's really a lot going on. It's really tragic, and that's pretty much Godzilla vs. Destroyer is supposed to be the last movie in the Heisei series in the Heisei era. But as a whole, it was supposed to be Toho's last Godzilla movie before they gave the rights to America so we can make the 1998 movie. Obviously, though, the 1998 movie did not do well, so because of that, they took the rights back and Toho made the Millennium era, which wasn't even supposed to exist, but it did because of Godzilla 98's box office bomb. So yeah, um, but yeah, that's Burning Godzilla. Um, the MonsterVerse form of Burning Godzilla in 2019, almost the same thing as this, but it's actually his entire body going into like this melt, like being burning, like you know. It's almost crisp. Um, but instead of being a nuclear bomb, he ends up. I mean, he is supposed to. I don't really know how to describe it. I think Mothra ended up doing something to ended up putting her energy into him so he could control it. Um, but yeah, unlike Burning Godzilla, where he has a unlike the original, where he has like this beam, where he has like this fiery atomic breath, Burning Godzilla has like this ability to create an explosion around him. He's able to like create this explosion around him, which which burns anything around him, that's around him and the radius of the explosion. Which leads into the death of King Ghidorah in that movie. Um, One thing to know is that if you look very closely, even when it happens, you see the wings of Mothra appearing, and you can also hear her as well. And in this art, and in this statue right here, you could even see the wings right there, which I think is pretty cool. It's almost like, oh yeah, he's has wings. I think that's pretty cool. Um, but yeah, supposedly he doesn't even have a beam breath. It's never shown if he does have a beam breath or not. But from the looks of his toy right here, it looks like he does. It's interesting actually. Yeah, like that's interesting. Because in the movie, in the 2019 movie, you never see him use his fiery beam breath. He does have he uses that explosion, so so that's pretty interesting though. But it could just be marked. It could just be toys using some that adding in something that never happens. That doesn't exist. But it's interesting. I like the Transformer toys. Yeah, you know about it. All right, it's been an hour and just on this, but the next one we have is the Oxygen Destroyer. The Oxygen Destroyer is basically what killed Godzilla in the original 1954 movie. What it does, um, it can what let me just show you. um, the Oxygen Destroyer was created in the original movie. The oxygen is like this is the oxygen. Yeah, this is basically what the oxygen destroyer does. It's almost like this. eh, from what I could like, I'm taking this from the 2019 King of the Monster movie. But what the oxygen destroyer does, it's put inside of a body of water. It was created by Doctor Sir. It was created by Professor Serizawa in the original 1954 movie as a way to kill Godzilla. And what it does, it basically kills everything in its in a large radius. It basically, as the name implies, it kills all the oxygen, all right, but it kills everything as well. Um, include and it does, and it was used to kill Godzilla, which it does. I think a better description. I don't really have Jose Miko. He's eventually made by mistake. By capable of, yeah, it's basic, yeah. This it destroys the oxygen in water and anything um around that radius. Um, in the 2019 movie, it does the exact same thing, but it's more treated as like this large atomic bomb. Or no, it's more treated as this bomb, right? While in the original movie, it's basically like you could see everything fizzing, But yeah, this is basically the thing that managed to kill Godzilla. But because of the oxygen destroyer, it led up to the creation of Destroyer. It leads into the creation of Destroyer. which in a way it was almost like it was a gift, but also a curse because it leads into the creation of Destroya. Um, which yeah, it's really crazy. It's really crazy how the thing that was used to kill Godzilla ended up becoming the creation of something even worse. Yeah. At first, I used to believe that it took 30 years for Destroya to First, at first I actually thought it took 30 years for Destroya to be created. Not like in movie wise, like in actual years, like from 54 all the way to um all the way to all the way to the release of Godzilla vs. Destroyer. Okay, what was the time frame? Actually, I used to believe that Godzilla vs. Yeah, 1955. I used to believe that it took 30 years for the oxygen destroyer, for the effects of the oxygen destroyer to create destroyer. But no, it's actually no, that's no whatever I was talking about, the whole 30-year thing, that's really what leads in that's really how long, the two movies were separate, Actually, how long did it take actually? It was deadly 1996 after being released by underwater drilling. So yeah, Godzilla has been alive for a really long time. So basically that means the oxygen. So yeah, that basically means that um that basically means that that Destroyer most likely is alive and going in the monsterverse. Thus that it's not gonna take him 30 years. It's gonna take 30 years for someone to let him out, to discover him and let him out. So that's kind of crazy. But yeah. Um, the Oxygen Destroyer, it did make an appearance in Godzilla. As I said, it was featured in Godzilla King of the Monsters in 2019. The Oxygen Destroyer, and yeah, because of the Oxygen Destroyer, a lot of people are like, yeah, Destroyer is gonna be in the MonsterVerse. That does confirm Destroyer or something related to it is gonna be in the MonsterVerse in a future movie, which I'm not even surprised. It's like a lot of people are tragically waiting for the Godzilla versus Destroyer for the MonsterVerse version of Godzilla versus Destroyer to happen because it's like people are worried. It's like, oh, because we're gonna be seeing the death of Godzilla again. Oh my God. And it would actually, you know, it's kind of crazy because the Oxygen Destroyer in the original movie, Professor Dr. Serizawa in the original 1954 movie used the Oxygen Destroyer to get tried was trying everything he could to kill Godzilla. Was trying to use the Oxygen Destroyer to kill Godzilla. While in the 2019 movie, he used a nuclear bomb to give Godzilla more power, to restore his energy, to go after Ghidorah and kill him. While the military created the oxygen destroyer, and they tried to kill Godzilla, but and Ghidorah, but it only killed Godzilla. It only weakened Godzilla. It didn't kill him, but it did weaken him. While King Ghidorah, he was heavily damaged, but because of his regenerative abilities, he was able to like withstand that massive blow. So yeah, Dr. Serizawa, the man who killed Godzilla in '54, ends up saving his life in 2019, which is pretty cool. It's crazy how things turn. I feel like doing this tomorrow. Well, I think it's getting a little late. I think there's a lot to even go through. I think I might as well just do it tomorrow. Shit. Yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna try and, I'm like, starting to get a little tired. But yeah, I'm gonna try and do this tomorrow. Hopefully, I can get through more of this. I got a little too excited. I'll be honest with you. Like, it took me an hour. I mean, most likely it did take me an hour by this point. What's like an hour and 30 maybe? I don't know. But yeah, I'm gonna try and end it right here because it was like, I feel like I'm starting to get tired. I'm gonna be here all night. So yeah. All right. Well, I'm gonna hop off, everybody. I'll be back another time to continue. Peace out, y'all. Good night.